Anyway, that game is live and exclusive on talkSPORT tomorrow, but live right now and exclusive for the next 10-15 minutes is our pal, the man with the Friday Freeview plan. It's Van Connor. Van the man when it comes to Freeview recommendations for the weekend. Good morning, Van, and how's your week been, mate? How are things?
Good morning, Mr. Ross. I can't possibly complain. I got to see Everything Everywhere All at Once today.
Is that the Michelle Yeoh multiverse film?
It is, and it's coming out on the 13th in the UK. And I got to see it at the local multiplex here in Michigan. It was a good time, I got to say.
I did not realise we were talking to you in the US of A. Blimey, Charlie, you much-travelled man. Now, we've got a big boxing event tomorrow, as you know. I'm sure America's going to have its eyes on their pay-per-view. Boxing fans will have their eye on pay-per-view to take a look at the fantastic bout tomorrow. Tyson Fury, Dillian White. And you've gone with a boxing movie as your first recommendation on tonight ITV. Tell us why you've chosen, I like this film as well, Creed 2.
So Creed 2, which is to date the final appearance of Rocky Balboa. I think this is the actual swan song for the character, according to Sylvester Stallone. This actually takes the form of a sequel to Rocky 4. You know, one of the most iconic entries of that iconic franchise, which sees Dolph Lundgren returning as Ivan Drago. This time around, the son of Apollo Creed is going to face off against the son of Ivan Drago in the ring. It's the ultimate grudge match, with Rocky Balboa forced to sit by the sidelines in the mentor role. I've got a clip for you of Rocky trying to comfort his new protege in the wake of a humiliating defeat against his opponent. This is on 10:45 tonight on ITV. It's a hell of a movie. It's a contender for one of the best training montages of the franchise, at the very least, I think, this one.
It's Creed 2, it's tonight, 10:45 p.m. on ITV. Here we go.
You know, I watched you back in Philadelphia. You showed a ton of heart. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You showed a ton of heart.
Heart? Man, I ain't trying to hit it.
Gee, it's Rock.
Oh, it's okay. It's all right.
You guys gotta work it out.
I lost the fight before it even started, right?
No. This guy he's a big guy, he's strong, he got the reach, he got all kinds of...
Oh, now you're trying to train me. Be my coach. Oh, look at me.
Wow, it's a great film, that, isn't it? Heartbreaking boxing movie, but also, you know, it reminds you of the exhilaration and the triumph of that sport. So that's 10:45 tonight to get you in a fight night mood before the big bout tomorrow, of course. Now, I've gone for one of my favourite films of all time. I've got so many favourite films of all time, I might as well say they're all favourite films. It's 40 years old, I think. It's British release this year. It's released in 1981 in Germany. It's Das Boot, based on an also well-worth-reading novel from the early 70s by a man called Lothar Gunther Buchheim. And it's basically the life and, shall we say, difficult times of a German U-boat crew in the, I think it's 1941 it says, so the war's on the kind of turn, but at the moment they're still very much triumphant, and Hitler and the Nazis asked incredible, terrible things of the U-boat crews who were out there to stop, try and starve Britain to submission, basically, to disrupt shipping and stuff. It was then around the time the Navy, the Royal Navy and the Americans were about to enter the war, started to get the measure of the U-boat captains. The fatality rate was dreadful. This is a spectacular film there, but there are lots of different versions of this. Have you ever seen the director's cut? I think it's Wolfgang Petersen's cut from, I think, 97, which is much longer and just a fascinating watch. Have you seen that ever, Van?
I think that's the version I wound up seeing first on DVD.
Oh, lucky old you. Lucky you. Because it was even shown to a TV miniseries, and there's since been a spin-off TV series, which I think Sky Atlantic showed, which was quite good. But the director's cut is just a marvellous, such an involving, heartbreaking film.
Well, it's the big calling card. This is the movie that this is the big Western calling card, I think, for Wolfgang Petersen. This takes him to the Hollywood stage for then more, because we wound up getting things like The Perfect Storm out of him and Outbreak. I mean, at one point he was even going to direct the movie that would become Batman vs Superman. But so much of our sort of contemporary cinematic language surrounding the submarine movie, like your Crimson Tides and things like that, all hark back to Das Boot. It's so iconic within its specific subgenre.
Now, I haven't got this set, but I've been reading about something I might order, or maybe persuade one of my children to buy me. They can come together and buy me this for Father's Day. There's the Das Boot Complete Edition, right? Released as a collection of 5 Blu-ray sets and 3 CDs. 3 CDs as well. That contains more than 30 hours of material. Director's cut, 208 minutes. Original cinema version, 149 minutes. The complete TV series in 6 parts. which runs 308 minutes. There's bonus material, 202 minutes, the original soundtrack, and an audio book of the novel read by in German. If you wanted to know your German, I mean, that's all there for you, isn't it? It's Das Boot, and of course it's on Great Classics from 9 p.m. tonight. They're showing it in 2 chunks. It's probably going to be one of the truncated versions, but still, if you've never seen it, folks, it's worth a look. A great calling card as well to Hollywood for Jürgen Prochnow, who plays the, should we say, disenchanted U-boat captain. It's an amazing film. It's Das Boot, the boat.
For the 40,000 men who serve aboard Hitler's U-boats, less than a fourth will return. Columbia Pictures presents The Boat. The story of 42 raw recruits caught up in a war they didn't understand, and the captain who must lead them in their struggle to survive.
All set?
He alone knows the insanity of the voyage that awaits his men.
So Hitler Youth Leader might put a record on for us? The Tipperary song, if you have no objections.
It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary.
One short little Tommy record won't change you into the King of England.
I mean, that's a terrifying stat, but it's true, isn't it, man? Of the 40,000 U-boat captains and crew, less than 1 in 4, fewer than 1 in 4 ever got out alive. I mean, that kind of, anything to do with war is hideous and appalling, as we're sadly all learning or relearning at the moment. But, I mean, that was a particularly arduous posting, and then fatal for most of them. Great film. That is one of my favourites. Das Boot, tonight, 9 o'clock on Great Classics. And you've gone for, I think, a 4 offering tonight. It's one that kickstarted, you could say, the real, after Spider-Man, of course, but the real kind of turning point, I think, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe was the film you're recommending next, Iron Man.
Yeah, one of my favourite films, funnily enough. This is genuinely one of my all-time favourite movies. It's the movie that started it all, that launched the MCU. It's Jon Favreau's 2008 series launcher, Iron Man, which I think Jeff Bridges, the film's antagonist, famously referred to as like doing a $150 million student film, because the movie was made largely without a script. So it's largely improvised within the scene itself, and you can tell that when you go back and watch the film now, which is the origin story of Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark, the weapons designer who discovers that his weapons are being used for no good and decides to build the one that allows him to bring peace to the world, the iconic Iron Man suit. And it's like that looseness, that more independent sensibility is something you definitely become more aware of now when you look back on this in retrospect of, all of the Marvel movies that we've gone through since. There's such a robust energy to this. That improvised wit is prominent, and it's just got a great vibe. I really love the style of the first Iron Man movie. I'm really disappointed that they didn't keep that going through the sequel. I understand that you can't make $150 million improvised art movies, but you can hear it all in this clip. Let's say it's on 9:15 on Channel 4, as you say, on Saturday night, but you can hear it in this clip. This is Tony Stark giving the speech that he's going to stop making weapons of mass destruction.
Here we go, then.
I saw young Americans killed by the very weapons I created to defend them and protect them. And I saw that I had become part of a system that is comfortable with zero accountability. Hey, Ben.
What happened over there?
I had my eyes open. I came to realize that I have more to offer this world than just making things to blow up. And that is why, effective immediately, I am shutting down the weapons manufacturer division of Stark International.
Great film, that's Iron Man. It's on tonight on Channel 4 as they call it now, at 9:15. And I've gone for a film back from 2007, starring Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. Both great actors in their way, both screen and movie stars, of course. This film based on a true story of a man called Frank Lucas, who was a gangster from, I think, LaGrange in North California, made a fortune smuggling heroin into the States on American service planes returning from the Vietnam War. Now, they've used that as a starting point. They've turned it into a film which is called American Gangster, directed by the great Ridley Scott, of course. It made a lot of money, this film. Got a huge critical thumbs up at the time. I thought it was kind of a little overlooked at the Oscars, and some people said that they glamorised the Denzel Washington gangster character. Again, he's kind of cast against type as the gangster, you might argue, more closer to his Training Day character. What I love about this film, though, is it's a kind of almost attack on or dark satire of the American dream, because he's very much about family, about honour, you know, all those almost mafia things, and yet, of course, he's somebody who is ruining lives and making a fortune and running this incredibly violent criminal empire. Fantastic supporting cast as well, if you can call them that. Josh Brolin, Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it as well, some great actors. I think, Chiwetel Ejiofor in this, and also Ruby Dio, I think, was Oscar nominated. A great film. I mean, it's one of those films that sometimes I think has slipped under the radar when people talk about great gangster movies, maybe because it's slightly... I mean, it's not actually set in the period the original story happened, and maybe that was a mistake, do you think, possibly, Van?
I think, to be honest, there was a bloat as well at the time that there were too many Ridley Scott and Russell Crowe movies, and there was such a varying quality idea in there. You had with Denzel, there was a sort of a sense from the marketing that it felt like he was treading on the toes of Training Day,
True.
Which was kind of sacrosanct in the eyes of so many people. And the Ridley Scott-Russell Crowe connection had yielded such mixed results. If you look at, you had The Body of Lies, for instance, Body of Lies, where they paid him with Leonardo DiCaprio, that, for instance, fared a lot better than the Wine movie. Was it A Good Year?
Oh, that was a stinking good year in Provence. That was an absolute turkey with a lot of feathers.
Exactly. So it was a difficult time for Ridley Scott in the 2000s, but he did make his share of really solid thrillers, of which American Gangster is one of them. It's a bit overlong, and like you say, it is overlooked, but it's a really slick, well-produced gangster thriller.
Okay, so it's on tomorrow night on ITV4, 11:55 p.m. So it just sneaks into Saturday. Here's the trailer.
The man I worked for had one of the biggest companies in New York City. He didn't own his own company. White man owned it, so they owned him. Nobody owns me, though. Most important thing in business is honesty.
Bribery, extortion,
integrity, hard work,
murder, racketeering,
family. Never forgetting where we came from.
Who is this guy?
So you are what you are in this world. That's either one or two things. Either you're somebody, or you ain't nobody.
I mean, Denzel Washington's charisma just crackles off the screen. I wonder if I've not seen his version of Macbeth. I wonder if he channels that kind of energy and that kind of dark energy to play Macbeth, because there's a similar thing with Macbeth, isn't there? He's a kind of fascinating villain, but a villain nonetheless.
Oh, he's a terrific Macbeth. He is exactly as good as Macbeth as you'd imagine he would be.
Brilliant stuff. I'm looking forward to catching that one as well. And my final recommendation is, well, back to the world of sport, not boxing this time, but the sport of kings, as they call it, horse racing. And it was a creature and a folk hero in the States I never heard of until this film came out. It was released, I think, back in 2003. I went and saw it, not really knowing much about it at all. I cried like a baby throughout most of it. It's an absolute heartbreak, but in a wonderful, warm way. It's about second chances, as so many sports films are. It's about the Depression era of America. It's about Jeff Bridges, who's, again, in Iron Man, but a great actor, suffering this almost unimaginable loss to his family. He's a millionaire who seems to have it all going for him. And then people who are looking for a second chance, looking for a way out of the Depression, and also maybe thinking their time in the sun is over. And it's how they all find some kind of redemption. I mean, it's no secret here, because you probably heard about this film anyway. It's a lovely film, and it kind of is this racehorse that I hadn't realised was a huge thing in America, a champion thoroughbred. It became the top money-winning racehorse up to the 1940s, beating all kinds of famous horses, again, I'd never heard of here, but it's an absolutely historic figure in American in American racing. It's called Biscuit, and the film is on I think it's on Great Action, 8:55 Sunday morning. So a nice one to set the alarm for, unless you're up early. 5 to 9 on Sunday morning. It's called Biscuit. Toby Maguire's in it as well. Dennis Quaid's the main man, isn't it? I think, not Jeff Bridges. I'm going mad. Oh, is it Jeff Bridges? I think it's Jeff Bridges. I can't remember now. It's early in the morning, but it's a great film nonetheless. I'd urge you to record it if you've not seen it, folks. It's an absolute cracker, and I've got the trailer.
Every horse is good for something. You don't throw a whole life away just 'cause it's banged up a little.
Seems pretty fast.
Yeah, in every direction. He just needs to learn how to be a horse again.
How far do you want me to take him?
Till he stops.
Let's see what you got, boy.
What, fast?
Your horse just broke the track record at Tamfran.
Yeah, I'm going now. It's just, of course, Jeff Bridges, and also you've got William H. Macy in it as well. Tobey Maguire's fantastic. Chris Cooper is interesting in it as well. So it's a lovely film. It's made an awful lot of money, mainly in the States. I mean, it kind of doubled its money in there. And it's a few films were like this around that time. There's also that Russell Crowe film about a boxer, who again I'd never heard of, called Cinderella Man. And that's a good film. This, I think, is a very good film indeed. And a lovely family film as well, I think, Van.
Yeah, I'll tell you something interesting about the Cinderella Man as well. That Russell Crowe boxing movie, the leather jockstrap that he wore in that movie wound up getting bought.
What?
He wound up getting bought at his divorce auction. And donated to the last blockbuster in existence. It's on display in the museum in the last blockbuster in operation, thanks to John Oliver.
Is that somewhere in the States? I think I spoke to the woman who works there, manages it. Is that the one it's in the USA?
That is absolutely true. And but to Russell Crowe's credit as well, he would not allow the proceeds for that to go to anything other than a charitable donation. So he responded by funneling the proceeds for that purchase into the John Oliver Koala Chlamydia Award at the Irwin family facility in, I think in Australia or New Zealand.
And rather appropriately, given that it was a divorce and that it's a jockstrap, chlamydia, of course, is the sexually transmitted infection that many koala bears are riddled with. So it's even there. There's a touch of Australian tongue-in-cheek, one would imagine, about the donation he chose in that front.
Quite possible. Good old Russell Crowe. Definitely the star of our week.
Okay, so that's Biscuit. It's a biggie for me. It's on 5 to 9 on Sunday morning on Great Actions. And you've gone for, it's a film that's on 5-star. Tell us about where the wild things are. It's quite late at night on Sunday, I think, isn't it, this one?
Well, this is certainly not Where the Wild Things Are, which is aimed at children. This is Wild Things, which is most certainly not aimed at children. This one stars Kevin Bacon, Denise Richards, Neve Campbell, Bill Murray and Matt Dillon, and it centres around a police investigation into a sexual misconduct allegation made by a high school student against a young playboy teacher, played by Matt Dillon, in a small but rich and exclusive, I think, Florida beach community. An allegation that then opens up this mysterious whodunit thread in which no one is who they appear to be, right, and nothing is quite what it seems. If you've never seen Wild Things, my advice, genuinely, stick it on for 5 minutes and see if you have any idea where you are going to be in that story 20 minutes later. It is one of the most unpredictable ones around. Also, as someone who was a 15-year-old boy in 1998, I can tell you, anecdotally, this VHS tape just lives in the hearts of all teenage boys from the late 1990s for, I think, 2 or 3 specific scenes. It made an instant overnight star out of Denise Richards, I think, who had already at that point been in Starship Troopers and things like that. But this is, I think, the movie that Denise Richards Neve Campbell had Scream, but this is Denise Richards' big breakout role, I think. I've got a clip.
Well, she ended up as a Bond star, didn't she, as well, and of course married Charlie Sheen famously.
And of course went on to marry Charlie Sheen and become a Real Housewife, I think, in more recent years. But as I say, this is on 5-star Sunday night, 11:25. Great twisty turny thriller. I've got a clip for you. This is the group of cops investigating the claim made by Denise Richards.
Here we go. Wild Things, 5-star Sunday night, 11:25 p.m. Enjoy.
Maybe there's no physical evidence because nothing happened. You want my gut? There it is. I think she's acting. I think she set it up to be alone with him so that he could come on to her. She's upset because he didn't.
Maybe she set it up that way. Maybe not. I mean, if you ask me, the guy never should have had her out there in the first place, period.
Gloria, the line I have on this guy, he's done half the women in Blue Bay.
That doesn't make him a rapist.
Wow, it's a fascinating sounding film. I've never seen it. I'm setting the record for that one. And remind us how we can
watch it.
Remind us how we can hear you and Rebecca Perfect back to our mates later on today in your podcast Off Screen. Always a cracking listen.
You can hear us on the Off-Screen Show, as always, this week on podcast platforms from 6 a.m. GMT. Just go on, search for Off-Screen, and your 7-day guide to everything movies awaits, with all the latest in cinemas, on Freeview for the next 7 days, and everything on streaming and disc as well, which, of course, this week the big heavy hitter has to involve the return of the one and only Nicolas Cage. It's a welcome return as well, I have to say.
Marvellous stuff there from our mate Van Connor. He's on the show next Friday, of course. Rebecca Perfect Biscuit joins us on Monday for a definitive overview of all the latest sporting news, all the latest showbiz news, technology news, and TV and film news. Meanwhile, of course, you can download the Off-Screen podcast later on today. Coming up, though, the Met Office with the weekend's weather. You have been warned.